Today we're going to work on the lattice method for multiplication. So the lattice method will work for one-digit multipliers, two-digit multipliers, three-digit multipliers, though the more multipliers you have, the more complicated it can be. So we'll start with a simple problem such as 55 times 4. So to use the lattice method, you're going to separate these out by place value. So we're going to separate out our 5s. And then we're going to write a 4 down here. And we're going to create a grid or a lattice. And the 5s will each get their own box. I'm going to grab a different color. Now what we're going to do is separate this out into diagonals. And I'm letting my diagonals carry beyond the boxes because it'll make my math easier later. So now I can multiply, and I'm just going to do simple multiplication using my math facts now. So I know that 4 times 5 gives me 20. So you write one digit in each of the sections for the 5 and the 4. And then 5 times 4 also gives you 20. Now to solve this, you just add down the diagonal. So in this diagonal, we have a 0. In this diagonal, we have a 2. And in this diagonal, we have a 2. So 55 times 4 gives us 220. So that was a very simple problem. Now we can make it a little bit more complex. So next we'll do 934 times 25. So I'm going to start off by separating out my number by place value. So I'm going to start with my larger number. So I've got 934. And then down the right side, I'll write my 20 and then a 5. So I'm going to work with columns and rows this time. I'm going to create a grid or a lattice. And each digit gets its own special column or its own special row. Next, I'm going to draw in my diagonals, and I'm going to extend beyond just to make it a little easier. Sorry about the messiness. When I create these videos, I have to use the mouse to write. Okay, so now I can multiply using just my math facts. So all I need to know how to do, or all I need to know really is my math facts to solve these problems. So 2 times 4 gives us 8. We're going to represent 8 as 0, 8. 2 times 3 gives us 6. So we'll represent that as 0, 6. And 2 times 9 gives us 18. Now I can go to my next row. 5 times 4 gives me 20. 5 times 3 gives me 15. 5 times 5 times 9 gives me 45. And now to solve, I'm going to add down my diagonal. So in this diagonal, I just have a 0. In this diagonal, I have 8 plus 2, which is 10, plus 5 to get 15. And then I'm going to carry the 1 up into the next diagonal. Here I have 5 plus 1 is 6, plus another 6 is 12, plus 1 more gives me 13. and I'm going to carry the 1 up into the next diagonal. 8 plus 4 is 12, plus 1 is 13. Carry the 1, and then 1 plus 1 gives me 2. So the answer to 934 times 25 is 23,350. Okay, I'm going to give you a problem to solve next. We'll stick with 3-digit by 2-digit for right now. Let's do 2-digit first. So we'll do 46 times 78. So you're going to start off by separating out your numbers and creating your lattice. And then you'll draw on your diagonals. Ooh, that was really ugly. Like so. I'd like you to press pause and solve this problem, and then we'll go over the answer together. Okay, so as we solve, we're going to start with the row of 7 here. 7 times 6 gives us 42. And then 7 times 4 gives us 28. 6 times 8 gives us 48. And then 8 times 4 gives us 32. Now we add down the diagonal, so this becomes an 8. 4 plus 2 is 6. Plus 2 more gives me 8. 8 times 4 is 12. Plus 3 is 15. I'm going to carry my 1. And then 2 plus 1 gives me 3. So 46 times 78 gives me 3,588. Okay, let's try a harder one. 6,542 times 63. So you go ahead and set it up. Press pause, set it up, solve the problem, and then we'll check. All right, so I'm going to separate this out. So 6, 5, 4, 2. And then I'm going to do my 63 over here. I'll make my box. Now my 6's have a column, my 5's have a column, my 2 has a column. And then I'm going to draw in my diagonals. Six times 2 gives me 12. 6 times 4 gives me 24. 6 times 5 gives me 30. And 6 times 6 gives me 36. Moving on to my next row, 2 times 3 gives me 6. 3 times 4 gives me 12. Oh, that's messy. 3 times 5 gives me 15. 3 times 6 gives me 18. And now I can add down my diagonal. So here I have 6. 2 plus 2 gives me 4. 5 plus 1 is 6, plus 4 is 10, plus 1 is 11. 8 plus 1 is 9, plus 2 is 11, plus 1 more is 12. 3 plus 1 gives me 4. So my answer is 412,146. Next, we're going to try a 3-digit multiplier. So you're going to try it, then you'll press play to check. So here's your problem. There you go. So go ahead and try this and then press play. Okay, so take a look. Um, we went ahead and solved the problem and came up with our answer. So you check your work now to make sure that it's similar to mine. Check your answer. When you're placing your commas, you always want to start at the right side of the number and count backwards by 3. So tens, hundreds, thousands, comma, or sorry, tens, ones, tens, hundreds, comma, thousands, 10,000s, 100,000s, comma, to make sure you have your placement correct.